It's time for the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Powerful and liberating business strategies you can start in 5 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, Dean Soto.
Hey, this is Dean Soto, founder of FreedomIn5Minutes.com, and we're here again with another Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode. Today's topic is this: home and community miracles. That and more coming up. All right, cool. We got another podcast episode. This one is going to be literally miraculous, and there's a reason why we're using the word miracle, and that's because I am joined with Mr. Beau Miracle from Miracle Realty. He's actually from a lot of different things, which we'll touch on in just a little bit. But I'm excited for this show because there's going to be a lot of amazing content, a lot of amazing stuff, and I'm just excited to get into it. So Beau was actually born near where I live. I live up in Auberry area. He's in Madeira, was born there, joined the Marine Corps, actually had a tour in Iraq in 2003, made his way back to Madeira, and took over I believe it's a family business, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
41 years.
Wow, 41 years. That is crazy. So took over the family business and has just done a whole lot of stuff, including owning a CrossFit gym. And he has a son who is at Poly San Luis Obispo, and is just all over with a bunch of different groups and so on in the local area. Absolutely love what he is doing, and I had to get him on. So, Beau, thank you so much for being on.
Well, thank you for having me. I super appreciate it.
Oh, so yeah. So when I was looking at some of the interviews that you had done, one of the things that struck me as I started doing more and more research about what you do is just how all over you are in the community, and that's a really big thing that I would love to hear your story about how you got here, and then kind of I want to go into the fact that you're really out there building and helping the community as well as all of your other businesses, which we're going to talk on. So how did you get from, born in Madeira, going to the Marine Corps, and to where you are at now as the owner of Miracle Realty?
It wasn't an easy road, but I definitely needed some change. So I moved to Michigan, and shortly after that, I had joined the Marine Corps. I couldn't keep a job. I wasn't a good employee, I guess. And so I definitely needed some structure. And so my cousin actually, Richie, he was actually going to go into the Marines already, and he was already basically enlisted at that point to go, and he convinced me to go in. And so I wasn't trying to be G.I. Joe or anything, but he definitely had me go talk to the recruiter, and they kind of motivated me a little bit. And next thing I know, I was signing the papers and going to boot camp within 3 months, and then did a little tour in Iraq in 2003 when it first kicked off. It was a hell of an experience.
Thank you for your service.
Grateful to have made it back, and thank you. And then so anyhow, then I started selling cars in Michigan, and I was doing pretty good at it. And the market kind of changed for the worst, and I was in need of some change again. So I decided to move back to my good old hometown, Madeira. And I got back here in 2009. I had to go through some learning curves when I first got back. And, I was kind of dabbling in some things that I shouldn't have been doing. Decided to change again. So I started going back to school to get my real estate license and to get my degree. I was taking advantage of the GI Bill.
Nice.
And I got my real estate license February 11th of 2011.
Nice.
And my plan at that time was to go and work for my father, who was the broker at the time of Miracle Realty here in Madeira, originally founded through my uncle, who started in Clovis, actually. But Miracle Realty here in Madeira was the only one still around. My other uncle retired. And anyways, short story long, 9 days later, my dad passed away.
Oh, geez.
And so kind of changed my plan of attack, I guess you could say. And I was put in a position to where I wasn't really sure what to do. He was kind of like my main mentor. And so I was kind of confused. And so I reached out to a few people that I knew that he had known and that well. And they said, "Do you have any money?" And I said, "No." They said, "You got any experience?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, I suggest you go and work for another company until you get that experience and build some capital, and then maybe come back and entertain the fact of taking over Miracle Realty again, or restarting it rather." And so that didn't sit well with me. It was a family legacy that my family's created. And so I said, F it. And that's what I did. I decided to just kind of, go after it. I didn't know what I was doing. We were in the middle of a recession, short sale foreclosure boom. And so that's kind of what started it. And then, I wasn't a broker at the time, so I had to have a broker. He was a retired guy that knew my dad. And he decided to partner up with me until I can get my broker's license, which I did 2 years later. And that's kind of what got me into it.
Wow, that is awesome. that is a crazy story. I love that. I'm sorry for your loss, man, with your dad, especially right after you'd done that. That's crazy. But the fact that you just went for it and are now doing what you did, like that is awesome. So when you first got into the position you are now, then what were some of the things what were the kind of oh crap, I didn't expect this type stuff when it came to actually owning the business outright like that?
Well, I would say I had probably a oh crap moment every day for like 2 years. It was crazy. I mean, when you take over a business, or I had to restart the business because it was a sole proprietorship. So when I retook it over and had to reestablish it, you don't have inventory, you don't have money, and if you're not selling anything, you don't get commissions. And this is a commission-only type of business. So for me, it was every day. I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know who to ask. I was a little scorned by the fact of those people that I had reached out to that have been in the industry for a long time. So I felt like that was going to be the answer to all my questions, was just like, you shouldn't be doing it, blah, blah, blah. So anyhow, every day, I mean, turning the lights on, keeping the lights on, getting a business license, having to go through that big process, and always being an employee versus an employer. And then I didn't really have employees. And I mean, I don't want to take up too much of your show with my drama, but there was just drama after drama with me taking it over, whether it was family drama or just the fact that we were in what was my first experience in real estate was the recession. So, a transaction would take 6 months to close, if not longer. It was just me and a few others. I kind of kept it real intimate and small because I really didn't have confidence. And so at that point, it just kind of really made me question what I was doing, and if I should have listened to those voices that I spoke to, asking me to not go through with the business. But it was a struggle every day, for sure.
Wow. For sure. Yeah, that's really honest though. A lot of people would be like, "Oh yeah, there was like it was hard at some points or whatever." But the fact that you're like, "Holy crap!" Like there's pretty much every single day there was something. That's pretty rare to actually have someone say that. So I mean, kudos to you. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I want to know more about this. So when you started gaining confidence, because one thing that I noticed about your business in particular is that right now there is from the stuff that you put out on your Facebook page and so on, there's a lot of confidence there now. You have your brand, you have your shirt, your branded shirts, hats. You're in the community, you're doing that stuff. When did it start to click like that, where you were starting to be able to start building your team as well? When did it start to kind of click and not be kind of the holy crap, things are on fire all the time?
Well, I'm going to give you another honest aha moment. So probably about a year and a half into me taking over, I had went through a series of things that were just crazy. But then I got sued, and I got sued for a number that I couldn't even write an IOU about. And so it was like $5 million or something crazy like that.
Jeez.
And so I'm grateful that I had to go through the experience. I just wish it would have been different. But I was faced with a thing in front of me that was about to take everything away that I had just started and tried to really start creating. And I was already scared. I was scared from the moment that I started. I was scared before the lawsuit. And then when I was going through the lawsuit, I was really humbled. And that's kind of where the CrossFit came into play, because I was teaching classes at this local CrossFit gym for free, because I knew the owner of the gyms that he had here locally, and he let me kind of coach for free. And it just gave me kind of like that good feel that I wanted by doing that. So anyways, after going through that lawsuit, I at that point realized, what's the worst that can happen? And so a wise man once told me that someone might be able to take everything that I have away from me, but they can never take my ability to do it all over again. So that's kind of what just resonated with me at that point. Is I was like, you know what, we live in California, we're going to be facing things, and for a guy that didn't have $20 in his back pocket, that was getting sued for $5 million, couldn't afford an attorney, representing myself and having to take all the people that were close to me into the lawsuit as well, because we were all kind of participating in that, whether we liked it or not. And so it was just a real humbling thing. And I mean, when you're faced with losing everything that you don't have, you kind of realize it doesn't really matter, right? Because there's so much more out there for us that we can be grateful for. And so that's what blew up my confidence. At that point, I kind of made a personal goal, I guess you can say, that I'm going to expose myself to my community. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to overcome adversity, and I'm going to do what I needed to do. And at that point, I was like, I need to brand myself. That's what I need to do. I need to be Miracle Realty. So every time you see Beau Miracle, like, you don't question that I'm part of Miracle Realty or I'm the real estate guy in Madeira. Yeah. And so with that branding, I kind of got some really, really good people to buy into that, and we created a culture from that. And we went from 1 or 2 agents and maybe an office manager and property manager to, almost 12 real estate agents, not all full time, but I got 12 realtors, and then I got a property manager who's awesome. And then I got an office assistant. So we've just really grown, and not just the fact that we've grown, but what we do in return for our community is, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, we do so much for the community, and I spend my wheels trying to dedicate my time as much as possible to kind of what you were saying, like whether it's the Madeira Chamber of Commerce and being on the board of directors, or Madeira Association of Realtors, or participating at the Fresno Association of Realtors, or running our own personal community events like the Disabled Veterans Golf Tournament that we just got done and we're super successful with. I mean, just being out there, and you can't keep anything unless you give it away, and that's like my philosophy. I mean, I don't try to make more money. I try to do more so I can give more back.
Man, that is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Because one, thanks for being so real and upfront on that, because that's actually something that I struggle with just personally with my business. I always had for years, and it wasn't only until recently that it's gotten better. Is I always think, oh crap, everything's gonna come crashing down. I'm gonna lose all my money. I'm gonna lose whatever. But to have it where where you are literally faced with that. Like I'm not even faced with that. And I'm worried about, oh, am I going to be able to feed my family or whatever? You are literally faced with someone trying to take it all from you, and came to the realization that, you know what, I'm just, there's so much to be grateful for that I'm going to just start giving. And that is one of the things that really struck me with your business. In reality, real estate brokers, realtors they're everywhere, right? And but to see your golf tournament, to see when you're doing stuff with the Grizzlies over here, you're doing all, like, just a whole bunch of different things that you're doing for the community. That totally struck me, and that's actually amazing how that culture was formed off of that potential loss of everything.
And it just truly did. And I mean, they say like law of attraction, if you're into that or whatever. I'm a big universe and energy guy, but for me, I struggled through a lot of things through my little journey, and now where I'm at today, I'm just surrounded by such amazing people that, I don't know why they believe in me and so much that they do, but my point is as I'm as successful as I am because of the people that are part of my teams. I mean, I just have great people. I mean, they bought in. Every time someone tries to come to my office, I always tell them, go talk to other offices and then come back to me, because I really just want to not be biased. I don't want to be that person that Miracle Realty is the best company, even though I love Miracle Realty and to me it is the best company, but I want them to learn that for themselves. And because of what we do, I don't recruit. And I mean, I've been told by people that I should, but I don't want to overly saturate our culture, because I think that if you get the wrong people and they don't vibe, you kind of lose that family-oriented aspect of what we do. Because let's face it, I mean, we're with our people more than we're with our families.
Yep.
Right. So these are our families. So I mean, if we're not vibing, I mean, it's okay to agree to disagree. And sometimes, just like any dysfunctional family, we have our disagreements and whatnot, and maybe even our little spats. But the reality of it is I'm just truly blessed with the people that are in my life, and not just in my businesses, but just all around. I just the people that support Miracle Realty and CrossFit Madeira and the other various things that I'm part of. I mean, just awesome. And Madeira is one of those towns that kind of like Cheers, where everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
If you really make a positive impact in this town will pay you back threefold.
Wow. That's I love that. My aunt she lives in Madeira, and I love that area. Like it's always been really nice. But yeah, like that's definitely a thing that is a characteristic is you're giving back to the town. Because to me, a lot of people could say, well, it's just a small town. Like, what is that really going to do for your business or whatever? But you can tell, like, you actually care about everyone in the community, and that it's awesome. So you have Miracle Realty, and you have other things going on, such as the CrossFit thing. So that is CrossFit Madeira. How did that come about? I know you do CrossFit, but how did that come about, and how does that play into everything else that you're doing as well?
So I've always kind of been into fitness, and that was my thing, right? That was my outlet. I had a really good friend that I've known since second grade. He actually just got his PhD, but he kind of started me on my little fitness journey when I first started kind of redirecting my life a little bit. And so point being is I lost about 60 pounds.
Wow.
And I didn't just lose 60 pounds. I went from a certain weight to a certain body fat percentage.
Wow.
And so anyways, I was really on this mission statement of just like really changing who I was, because there's three things I wanted to do right before my dad passed, because I didn't know he was going to pass, but I wanted to get my personal training certificate, which I did.
Wow.
I wanted to get my bail bonds license, which I did. And then I got my real estate license. Well, of course, being kind of a fitness enthusiast, everybody always wants to own their own gym. But at the time, what happened was the gym owner that owned what's called a Globo gym, like your traditional gyms here in Madeira, he was a very successful entrepreneur here, and he had several gyms, and then he ventured into the CrossFit. And so anyhow, I became good friends with him because I trained at his gym, and through different relationships that were established there, he started CrossFit at his actual main location in Madeira. And then I was kind of getting complacent in my own fitness. And then one day I did CrossFit, and it sucked so bad because it was so hard. It pissed me off. And that competitive edge in me just kept going back. And really what was pushing me was just certain things about my body that, my shoulder was kind of giving me a hard time, and I wasn't able to do certain lifts that I was used to doing because I was a wannabe bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And so I just started doing the CrossFit thing. And then because of who I am, just in my nature, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go get certified also in CrossFit.
Nice.
And so I did. And so that was right around the time that I was actually going through that lawsuit. And so an opportunity had arose because there was some falling out because he had opened up another location, which eventually I took over. But anyways, I was going to the gym at about 5:30. I was teaching classes because they needed someone to fill in, and I had just gotten certified. So I voluntarily started teaching classes for free. And it was because I just loved it. I loved helping people change their lives. I mean, there's always a gratifying feeling when you give someone the keys to their home that they're going to make memories in. Yeah. But it's another feeling that when you take somebody that is actually spiritually, emotionally, and physically broken, and you take through this little fitness journey. I mean, I've seen relationships restored. I've seen, people, their mental strength, their physical strength, and their spiritual strength come back to light. And so my point was, when I was going through that lawsuit, that was my outlet. That was really what that social element of what, because most people would go to the bar or do whatever, but that was my bar, literally, and I had people that I could talk to. And so long story short, 2 years later, my friend decided to start liquidating his gyms because he was going to sell all 5 of his gyms. And so he asked me if I wanted to buy Madeira from him. And, I already had a business and I was already pretty busy with that. But, I was like, I looked at the gym and I was like, well, I just don't see myself not doing it, even though I know it's going to be hard because it's a completely different industry. I wasn't educated on it again. I mean, I taught some classes, but we're talking about running a business here. And so it wasn't making money. And there were some things that I needed to overcome within the city to fulfill some conditional use permits. And so it was just a big burden at first, to be honest, because it just, on paper, it didn't make sense. Even my accountant was like, "Are you stupid? Like, like, why would you do this?" And I said, it'll work. It'll eventually work. I'll make it work because I've been in this position before. And so, we're not making it rich or anything, but I will tell you that we've stayed so consistent ever since I took over. It's been about almost 3.5 years.
Wow.
And since doing that, it's actually showed promise because I'm in real estate and I'm involved in the community. So usually if your trainer is your real estate guy, you're going to have automatic instilled trust in that person because you already know him. So that became a social network for me that just skyrocketed my business. I have a lot of people that I actually do train at my gym, and then also that they've either had me manage their property or help them sell or buy homes. So I kind of just made that work for me. And so now I just kind of cross-reference industries and kind of brought real estate to CrossFit. And now Beau Miracle is Miracle Realty and CrossFit Madeira.
I love it, man. Okay, so one thing I definitely noticed about you, is that, I'm always reaching out to people who I find interesting to come onto the podcast and who I think would provide a lot of value. a lot of people, in fact, right before recording this podcast, I was talking with somebody who, they wanted to have a pre-phone interview. They wanted to find out a lot more about what was going on. And a lot of people are hesitant to say yes to things. And when I reached out to you, it was like, bam, you said you would be on the podcast. I gave you the page to schedule on the podcast, and literally within less than an hour, we were already scheduled for you to come on. And most people don't take action like that. And you did, it seems to me like that's a big part of who you are. Maybe I'm wrong, of just doing stuff, just doing it. You're going to figure it out. Has that always been the case with how you kind of like how your kind of mode of operation?
Well, that's a good question. I would definitely say I haven't always been that way. No, not at all. In the first two or so years with the business, when I first started, I was scared of everything, and I would say no to it. I didn't even know how to tell people I owned Miracle Realty. I almost felt bad or guilty because I felt like I was doing my dad in service because he was so great at it, and here I was sucking. So and so I again when I kind of had that aha moment through the lawsuit and whatnot, I kind of again made it like a personal thing, like life's too short to not just take on opportunities, right? Like they may not all be the things that I want to do, but some way or somehow it's always going to be, if I have a good feeling about it, it'll just work out.
Yeah. Oh.
Right. And then, that's when you reached out, I was like, how the hell did this guy even find? I even searched you to make sure you weren't spam. And then I was like, oh, okay, he's legitimate. And, I didn't know anybody watched that one show that I do, but I go on there about twice or three times a year. They're pretty persistent on getting me on there, but
yeah.
I researched it and I saw that you were pretty reputable, and I liked that, and so I was again. That's all I had to do just to make sure that I had a good feeling, because I know it would work out. It would work out.
Oh, I love that, man. That is so cool. I'm glad that you saw that was reputable. No, it's totally understandable, though. If someone's reaching out, it's like, hey, come be on my show that you've never heard of.
So tell me a little bit about your show, if you don't mind. I know it's a spotlight on me, but just
oh man, this is actually the first time this has ever happened, by the way. So yeah, so Freedom in 5 Minutes show. So I own a company, and its brand is Freedom in 5 Minutes, and we have what are called virtual systems architects. And they are people who you can show a video how to do something in 5 minutes, and they document everything step by step into a standard operating procedure. And so that's the business. The show is based around. It's really based around, even though right now we're talking getting the story and everything like that. It's really based around the idea, which is what I'm going to ask you in just a minute, of a 5 minute thing, because I've noticed that. Just like with what you were talking about with the lawsuit and the decision that you made to just that there's so much more important things in life, things to be grateful for. There's always, I've noticed that whenever I've had something really big happen, it's been that 5 minute or less decision where I'm like, no, it's going to be this way. And so I try and get people who come on the show to share the one thing, or it could be even more, but one thing that took them really 5 minutes, like 5 minutes or less, to make this powerful mindset shift that has affected them for the rest of their lives. So that's what the show is about, and it's also to hear from other business owners how they've scaled, and then how people can actually reach out to you and to do business with you and so on. So that's the gist of the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But thanks for asking, man. That was the first time I've ever had a guest do that. I appreciate it. Usually it's before or it's after, so that's cool. So yeah, so the going to what the kind of the foundation of the show is, what's that one thing where it could be with any of your businesses, but something where, you just made a decision. It could be something with your staff. It could be something where you decided to delegate something or whatever, but something that you're like, I'm just going to do this. And it didn't really take that long to make the decision about. You just said, I'm just going to do this. And it ended up being something that has transformed your business, transformed your life. What would you say that one thing would be?
I think that just deciding to say yes. I mean, to get out there. I mean, again, I sat so reserved for so long when I first started. I was just like, when am I going to catch my next break? I just felt like I was an employee of the business. And a wise person once told me, you'll never be rich when you own a business, but you should be able to comfortably pay your bills. And
that's good.
I wasn't comfortably paying my bills either. So I was like, what the hell? So I was just full of stress, and I was dealing with problems, and I just was like, in order to do this, I need to get people to buy into what I believe in. And I think that if I can stay consistent, because to me, everything is consistency.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, just as long as you show up every day, you put one foot in front of the other, that's the first freaking step, And so with my businesses is when I made the shift was when I was like, you know what? Like, I'm ready to grow this thing. And when I meant grow it, it wasn't so I could be rich. It was so that way I could get a team of people that believed in the vision and the culture that I created, that I wanted to be so impactful in our community. Just like when people think of Miracle Realty, I don't even know if they know what we sell real estate, because we're just out there, we're at all the community events, and that's like a prerequisite of being at Miracle Realty or at CrossFit for that matter. Is like, if you're going to be part of my team, you have to dedicate and volunteer time to go to these events, because we do a lot of events. And to me, that's where it's at. It's just being involved. And when you're fortunate enough to be in a town like Madeira, where there's just under 70,000 population, and it's one of those small niche towns. It's not quite like a Hanford or that big, but it's just big enough to, again, that if you just stay involved, whether it's sponsoring the local baseball, soccer, schools, the athletes, when my son was wrestling for Madeira South, just whatever I could do to participate. I mean, that's honestly just like what you asked earlier, like why did I say yes? Well, because again, every opportunity is going to be an opportunity if it's in alignment with my assignment.
Yeah.
Right. And I learned that little quote or verbiage at a motivational seminar I went to not too long ago. And that really clicked with me, because if it's in alignment with my assignment, I don't ever want to say what if.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to be should have, could have, or would have. Right. So again, if I find balance with it, as long as it meets in with my alignment to my assignment, then everything else will work out. Everything will work out, and again, to me, with businesses, anybody can go look on paper and see if the numbers make sense. But I never have taken a business over and looked at it like that.
Yeah.
I just look at it as, okay, this is my opportunity, and I'm one person, and I can spread the word, and I can get people to buy into either the product or the culture. And again, for me, Miracle Realty has been around for 41 years, but I guarantee you in the last 5 years, Miracle Realty has put itself back on the map here in Madeira.
Well, you can tell, man. You can tell by just how all you're literally all over Madeira. It's awesome. Like you can tell just from the community building that you've done that is definitely a case, and I think it's absolutely amazing, man. So how can so what are the things you're doing now, and how can people reach out to you if they're in the Madeira area, they want to buy a home, or if they want to do CrossFit, or how can they just reach out to you in general? And what are you up to?
Okay, that's a good question. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, like you said, social media or whatever. The biggest thing about what we do is we don't just service Madeira, we do service the Central Valley.
Awesome.
We do property management also for investment homes and whatnot. So we have about 100 doors where we maintain and manage from about the upwards of Clovis down to Chowchilla. But whether it's for the real estate aspect, Miracle Realty or miracle-realty.com or CrossFitMadeira.com, or any of my new ventures, which I just started a new venture. It's called Miracle Meals. And it's kind of like those healthy, fit meals. So my brother's a chef by trade. And so we partnered up with a local restaurant here in Madeira, and we cook those meals, and those meals are 600 calories or less with all the right ingredients, I guess you can say, for all those paleo, keto, healthy enthusiasts. And then I have another joint venture with a friend of mine, and we do investment homes. So we buy it and flip houses.
That's great. Dang.
Yeah. So they can either get a hold of me through the website, social media, Beau Miracle. It's pretty easy to find. Or my office number is 559-674-0091. But yeah, typically social media on either IG or Facebook is pretty easy to get a hold of me if someone's trying to reach out.
I love it. So miracle-realty.com, CrossFitMadeira.com, miraclemealsmadeira.com as well. I love the Miracle Meals idea, man. That's a really cool little gig going on. It makes it easy, especially because I was doing keto actually not too long ago for a Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament that I was going to be doing, and I'm like, that would have been super helpful at the time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to be doing it again, so I'll probably end up reaching out to you.
So you do JIT?
Yeah. I've only been doing it. So I'm a member of a business organization called Warrior, Wake Up Warrior. And so you set these 90-day targets, and my 90-day target was to do a Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament, because I hadn't done other than combatives in the Army. I didn't do really any type of jiu-jitsu at all, but I had always wanted to. And so I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna do a tournament, and we'll see what happens. And it ended up being pretty cool. It went well. I won third place by default because someone didn't show up.
Oh, nice.
But it was good.
But that goes back to my theory about all you got to do is show up.
Yeah, exactly. So, that is because it's funny because my coach, he's like, because they moved me up a bracket. I was supposed to be 180 to 200 bracket, and they put me in 200 and above. So the guys I was going against were 250, and I was like 197. And he's like, we can go get a refund. We can go and just let them know not to, that we didn't want to move up a bracket and stuff. And I'm like, nah, we'll just do it. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna do this, spend all this time and not do it. And ended up getting third place because of just showing up in the bracket where in that bracket where I was supposed to just get completely hammered, which I did, but it was awesome.
It's all about the experience. And I was gonna say, because at my CrossFit gym, he's a partner of mine. He does Madeira mixed martial arts out of CrossFit Madeira.
Oh.
So they have a little JIT class and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Dang. See, I'm gonna have to stop by. It's not Madeira is not too far from where I'm at, so I'm gonna have to stop by and see, because that's great, man. That's always good. That's always that'd be great to because I actually want to get into probably not this next 90 days, but 90 days after that, I want to actually do a mixed martial arts match. So we'll see what happens with that. So, but dude,
awesome.
It's awesome. So, well, thanks so much for being on the show, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate your time. I know you're all over the place doing some amazing stuff. But I just wanted you to be on because I thought, you know, you have just some really amazing stuff going on, especially the giving side of things, which we don't really get to talk about. And it's something that personally I've been lacking, and I've been feeling like called to be more out there. So you're kind of like an archetype for me when I see you out there like that. So it's just really cool. I'm glad that you were able to be on the show, man.
Well, I appreciate you having me. And how do we advertise your show or the broadcast that we did today?
Just let people know about Freedom in 5 Minutes. I'll end up showing you I'll sharing a link to your actual episode, so you can share that around or whatever. But yeah, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and you're gonna give other guests a run for their money with how giving you are, because it's really cool. It's a really different feel, man. So I appreciate it. So that is the end of the episode, guys. If you want to reach out to Beau, he is obviously, literally one of the. We've only talked for the last 40 minutes. Which even on the show, normally we go about 25 minutes. So that's how interesting you are, man. If you want to get in touch with Beau, he's super, super nice. If you can't tell, I've only known him this long, and I'm like, oh man, I like this guy so much. So if you want to check him out, go to miracle-realty.com, CrossFitMadeira.com, and miraclemealsmadeira.com. You can also check him out on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Miracle Realty in Madeira, Miracle Realty Madeira on Google, and he'll pop right up. So all that being said, guys, it was great being on this episode, and we will see you on the next Freedom in 5 Minutes episode.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Now, head over to www.freedomin5minutes.com and register for our free masterclass and discover how to start systemizing and automating your entire business 5 minutes at a time. We'll see you next time on the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast.